In the quiet hamlet of Windhaven, where the hills whispered secrets to those who would listen, there lived a girl with ink-stained fingers and a heart full of curiosity. Catlyn spent her days charting the unseen corners of the world, her maps a tapestry of hidden wonders and silent histories. But it was the legend of the Garden of Echoes that called to her, a melody carried on the breeze, a promise of a place where the world's memories converged, waiting to be found. The old map she had found, crumpled and faded, depicted a path winding through mountains and forests, across deserts and seas. It seemed to lead to a place where reality and myth intertwined, where the veil between worlds grew thin. The further she ventured from her village, the more the map seemed to come to life, guiding her across treacherous terrain and through dense thickets of thorns. The air grew thick with anticipation as she neared the place she had been searching for her entire life. The trees parted, revealing a clearing at the heart of a great forest. In the center stood a single, ancient tree, its branches twisted and gnarled like the fingers of a long-dead wizard. A chill ran down her spine as she realized she had found it, the Tree of Echoes, guardian of the garden. With shaking hands, she pulled the old map from her pocket and unfolded it before the tree. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves, and she could swear she heard whispers on the breeze. The map seemed to glow with an ethereal light, guiding her eyes to a hidden door carved into the trunk of the tree. She reached out, tracing the outline of the door with her fingers, feeling the history of the world flow through her veins. And then, with a click, the door swung open, revealing a world she had only ever dreamed of. The Garden of Echoes spread out before her, a riot of color and sound and scent. She stepped inside, the world fading away behind her, and knew that she had found her home. The path wound through a verdant glade, where fountains played and cherry blossoms danced in the breeze. She could feel the memories of the world washing over her, a tide of stories and songs and laughter. She reached out, touching a flower, and saw flashes of a ballroom in a far-off kingdom, of a lover's embrace under a starlit sky. Above her, the branches of a nearby tree were carved with the faces of long-dead kings and queens, their stories etched into the bark. As she continued down the path, she passed a reflecting pool, where she saw her own face, not as she knew it, but as she truly was. A woman of many lives, of countless experiences and loves. The knowledge was overwhelming, but also liberating. She felt a sense of peace wash over her, a recognition that she belonged here, in this place where time and space were nothing but illusions. Eventually, the path led her to a great amphitheater, surrounded by towering statues of legendary figures from across the world. In the center, a single throne sat empty, awaiting its ruler. Catlyn knew that she was meant to sit upon that throne, to be the guardian of the garden and the keeper of its secrets. With a steady hand, she climbed the steps and took her seat, feeling the weight of history settle into her bones. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of red and gold. As darkness fell, the stars began to twinkle to life, and Catlyn could swear she heard the whispers of 1,000 forgotten voices carried on the wind. She closed her eyes, reveling in the knowledge that she was not alone, that the world was with her, and that together, they would continue to tell their stories forever. A servant approached her, bearing a tray laden with food and wine. Catlyn smiled gratefully and accepted the offerings, grateful for the sustenance after her long journey. As she ate, she surveyed the amphitheater, watching as other visitors wandered among the statues, lost in thought or conversation. Some told stories, others listened, and still others simply sat, basking in the peace that filled the air. When she had finished eating, Catlyn rose from her throne, her steps firm and confident. She wandered through the rows of seats, feeling the weight of her newfound responsibility settle into her bones. She stopped before a particularly weathered statue, carved with the face of a man she had once loved. Tears welled in her eyes as she reached out and traced his features, feeling the ache of their shared past. And then, as if summoned by some unseen force, a memory flooded her mind. The taste of his lips, the feel of his skin, the sound of his laughter. She closed her eyes, allowing the memory to wash over her, knowing that it was a part of her now, forever. When she opened her eyes again, she saw that others had gathered around her, drawn by the emotion she could not hide. They did not speak, but she felt their understanding, their sympathy, their love. Finally, when the last vestiges of the memory faded away, she turned to address them. "I am Catlyn," she said, her voice strong and clear. "I am the guardian of the Garden of Echoes, and it is my honor to serve as your storyteller." Her words hung in the air, the weight of history and possibility pressing down upon them. Around her, the crowd murmured in assent, their faces alight with hope and anticipation. And as the first stars of the evening began to twinkle in the night sky, Catlyn knew that she had found not only her home, but her purpose as well. For she was more than just a woman with many lives. She was the keeper of the world's most precious stories, the guardian of its most cherished memories. And with each tale she told, each memory she shared, she would help to weave the fabric of human existence anew. She climbed back up onto her throne, feeling the weight of the crown on her brow, but also the warmth of the love and admiration that radiated from the gathered crowd. They were not strangers, these people, but kindred spirits, united by the power of storytelling. And as she raised her voice to begin her tale, they leaned in closer, their eyes shining with anticipation, their hearts open and receptive to the magic of her words. Her voice carried across the amphitheater, spinning a web of words that wove together the threads of countless lives, weaving them into a tapestry of human experience that was both intimate and universal. She spoke of love and loss, of triumph and tragedy, of the endless struggle between light and darkness. And with each word, she illuminated a new facet of the human condition, revealing the depth and breadth of the shared human experience. The night grew late, and still Catlyn's voice did not falter. She spun tale after tale, each one more captivating than the last. The stars danced in the sky above them, their light casting a soft, ethereal glow over the gathered crowd. And as the last words of her final story faded away into the night, there was a moment of perfect stillness, as if the world held its breath, waiting for what would come next. And then, like a ripple spreading out from a single drop of water, the silence was broken. The crowd erupted into applause, their hands clapping in unison, their faces alight with wonder and awe. Catlyn smiled down at them, feeling a warmth spread through her that had nothing to do with the flames dancing in the braziers lining the aisles. For she knew that she had found her home, and that her stories would live on, echoing through the Garden of Echoes for as long as there were those who cared to listen. As the applause died down, a young woman stepped forward, her eyes shining with tears of gratitude. "Catlyn," she began, her voice trembling with emotion, "your stories have touched my heart in a way that no other storyteller ever has. They have given me hope when I had none, and they have shown me that I am not alone in my struggles. Thank you." The others around her nodded in agreement, their faces flushed with emotion. Catlyn reached out her hand, and the young woman took it, her grip firm and strong. "It is my honor," she replied, her voice as steady as she could make it. "For it is you who give my stories their meaning, their life. It is you who make them truly come alive." As the crowd began to disperse, each person disappearing into the shadows cast by the towering trees, Catlyn climbed down from her throne, her joints creaking with age. She made her way through the throng, stopping to speak with those who wished to share their thoughts, their feelings, their own stories with her. And as she did so, She felt a sense of purpose, of connection, that she had not known in many long years. As the last of her audience faded into the night, she made her way back to her throne, the weight of the crown on her brow feeling lighter than it had moments before. She gazed out over the garden, taking in the myriad colors and scents of the flowers, the soft rustle of the leaves in the breeze, the distant laughter of those who had stayed behind to continue their own stories. And she knew that, for as long as there were people who needed to hear them, her stories would continue to echo through the Garden of Echoes, guiding and inspiring them, binding them together in a shared experience that transcended time and space. The stars of the night in the sky above her were beautiful, their light twinkling like tiny diamonds against the velvet blackness. She closed her eyes, feeling the cool night air caress her skin, the sound of her laughter. She knew that she was home and that she had found her place in the world. For she was Catlyn, the guardian of the Garden of Echoes, and it was her honor to serve as their storyteller, to tend to the memories of the past and nurture the dreams of the future. And as she sat there, beneath the stars, she knew that her story, too, would live on, echoing through the ages, a testament to the enduring power of storytelling and the indomitable human spirit. The sounds of the forest began to fill the air around her. A chorus of frogs croaked their nightly serenade, accompanied by the rustling of leaves as unseen creatures scurried through the underbrush. The scent of the flowers grew stronger, their perfume mingling with the sweet smoke rising from the braziers, creating a heady, intoxicating aroma that made her feel alive, made her feel as if she could sit there forever. But the night was young, and there were still many stories to be told. Rising to her feet, Catlyn brushed the dirt and leaves from her skirt, straightened her back, and smoothed her wrinkled hands down the front of her tattered cloak. With a sigh, she turned toward the path that led deeper into the forest, her heart filled with anticipation for the tales that awaited her. Perhaps tonight, she would spin a tale of love found amidst the ruins of a fallen kingdom, or of a brave hero who ventured into the heart of darkness and emerged victorious, their soul untarnished. Or perhaps she would tell a story of loss and heartbreak, of people torn apart by war and time, their fates intertwined in ways they could never have imagined. As she walked beneath the canopy of trees, the sounds of the forest fading into the distance, she wondered what new stories were waiting for her, what new worlds and characters she would bring to life with her words. And as she approached the clearing where her throne stood, waiting for her, she knew that she would find the inspiration she needed in the faces of her audience, in the gentle sway of the branches above her, and in the endless dance of the stars in the velvet sky. For she was Catlyn, the storyteller, and the stories were her life. And as long as there were those who cared to listen, she would keep on telling them, weaving together a tapestry of words and images that would paint a picture of the human experience as vivid and as beautiful as any work of art. And in the end, she knew that was all that truly mattered. The throne loomed before her, its carved wooden arms and legs glowing warmly in the light of the full moon. She climbed up onto it, feeling the cool metal of the crown press against the crown of her head, as if it were a part of her, an extension of her very soul. Around her, the crowd gathered, their faces upturned toward her, their eyes shining with expectation. And as she took a deep breath and began to speak, her voice echoing through the forest like the song of a nightingale, she knew that once more she had found her voice, and that the world was hers to shape with her words. The stories would live on, and Catlyn would be their guardian, their keeper, their teller. And as long as there were those who listened, her story, too, would live on, echoing through the Garden of Echoes, forever and ever. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment below, and please visit my channel for more stories.